Hey everybody, today we're going out for a ride. We're going to go check out this place that I've been looking at as a potential photo op spot and sort of video recording spot where I'm not riding around for stuff on the bike itself. So we're going to roll over there today, check it out, see what it looks like, and I'm going to go over some things about the Rebel that we're on today, as well as some stuff about the Viking bags that we threw on a couple months ago. So let's see if we can avoid some of this wonderful Albuquerque rush hour traffic and get to this new spot and check it out. So I've had a couple people stop me and ask me some questions about this bike itself, as far as what it's like for both a beginner's motorcycle and a bike for people who've been riding for a while like me. And one of the things that I like the most about it, and I tend to speak to the value of, is the fact that this bike is insanely cheap to own, to modify, and to make your own, really. There's a ton of aftermarket options that you can get for this bike, and then some that clearly I've done myself, and it's something that I think is a huge feature on this bike. And not everybody's going to appreciate that, because some people just want to buy something and have it come from the factory exactly the way they want it. I'm not one of those people. I'm one of the people that wants to get something and immediately start slapping stickers on it or paint it or whatever it may be that makes that thing unique and uniquely mine. And that's one thing that really, back when I was doing cars, led me to be more involved with motorcycles, is because with motorcycles you have so much more capability to do that than you do with a car. You can do body kits, you can do like custom, wide body kits and fairing work on them and stuff. That gets real expensive real quick. Something as simple as a change of bars can make or break a bike when it comes to how it looks to you. And a set of bars is $100 as opposed to $3,000 for a wide body kit plus installation on a car. It makes a big difference, and it adds up really quick. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you have a modification addiction, motorcycles are a much cheaper option than cars are. So that would be my recommendation for that. Oh, this stop and go traffic is terrible. Just want to get to where we're going so we can record the video. The other thing is, I think I'm coming down with a cold of some variety, because I've been having a really itchy, scratchy throat, and on top of that, been having a hard time breathing. So apologies if the audio for this video is not amazing, but it's an absolutely gorgeous day out here, so I wanted to come out and record and get some actual content on the bike for a change, instead of just me hanging out in the game room acting the fool. One of these days we'll get back down to the shop and actually record some videos there. But for now, this is what we live with. This is probably one of the worst intersections in Albuquerque at this time of day, because everybody is getting off from work at the base, which is about 4 stoplights that direction, heading back out. So not the ideal place to be, but I really want to check this place out, and at least we're not going grocery shopping at Walmart or something. Seen a lot more bikes out lately than normal too. It's nice this late into October to see other motorcyclists out on the road besides me. Really wanted to ride into work today, but I normally leave for work around 5 o'clock in the morning, and at that point it was still all of 32 degrees outside this morning, so that was not what I was looking for when it came to a ride without cold weather gear. I've got some gloves coming in. What are you doing, bro? this is sort of the parking lot I wanted to go check out, and this person's probably incredibly fucking confused as to why I'm back here. No. Haha. I was kind of hoping that it would be fairly empty and dead back here, but it's looking pretty busy. Maybe we can go grab a spot over there. Well, there's not going to be any avoiding this one. Ooh. Wow, new construction all over the place back here. 5 years ago, none of these houses were back here. Right over here. Hopefully there's not private security or anything here to piss off. Bloop. Alright. So, a couple of things to talk about. First and foremost, I've had these bags on for almost 2 weeks now, and they have performed admirably. As far as what I was looking for in bags, they did exactly what I wanted them to. They hauled just enough stuff for me to get to and from work without issue, and to, you know, if I gotta randomly stop and get groceries or something, they're exactly what I need to pick up. That being said, they have raised a lot of questions from both my friends and some people in the motorcycle community as to how sturdy they are, how secure they are, and really how much space they have in them. So I'm going to run through that here real quick. Again, one of the features I liked the most about these was that they have a lock that you cannot forget. So, just get this opened up here real quick. And as you can see, I got my road toolkit in here. Now, for security purposes, I don't know if these are just hardened leather or if they have a plastic shell in them, but they have this steel piece here that traverses the entire top of the bag, so you really have to get under here and pry to pop this latch up. And secondly, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, this bar here, similar to the one across the top, runs all the way down the length of the inside of the bag here. So it's not just a little metal tab that's riveted in here, which is kind of how it looks from the outside. This is more of a bumper, it looks like, but that piece actually runs all the way down the inside of the bag. So even if you were able to get a crowbar up in here, you'd have to work pretty darn hard to pop this lid open. Now, as far as the capacity goes, these are roughly 12 inches long this direction, 9.5 inches long this direction, and I think 5 inches deep. So I've put 4 full-size laptops in this. Don't ask me why I had to do that, but I did. And I was able to very easily, you know, get everything shut. They didn't rattle around too much, and it worked out just fine. So for capacity, you know, you're not going to be hauling a whole thing of winter gear through these. It's just not something that's going to work. But I can fit a jacket in one side, some gloves, a balaclava in the other, you know, my toolkit in this along with the jacket. So they're not completely useless for their size. Now, these aren't, you know, bags that are massive and gonna go ahead and haul your helmet for you or lock it up when you're not at your bike, but they serve the purpose on a bike of this size, which is more of a Street Fighter style anyway, perfectly well. So the next thing I get asked about a lot is this right here. So if you look from the top down on the bike, you notice that the engine casing sticks way farther out to the right hand side than it does to the left. And I'm not gonna lie, this bothered me for the first 2 hours I rode this bike. Honda at least has the courtesy to put this nice, you know, plastic guard on here so you're not directly up against the engine case burning the hell out of your leg. That's really nice. After the first 2 hours, I stopped noticing it. I adapted to it. It doesn't mess me up when I'm making turns or anything like that. And I think ultimately It's not a design flaw in the bike. It's just something you have to get used to. Every bike's going to have its quirks, and that's particularly one of the quirks of the Rebel 500 and 300. A couple of other things you'll notice: I've replaced the stock exhaust with this Radiant GP Shorty. I did that because the stock exhaust weighs like 20 pounds. It's absolutely absurd, and it looks ugly as hell, and I just didn't like it. Some of the other modifications I've done: I removed the disgusting Shrek ear turn signals that were up here. I cut some vinyl strips to cover up the part of the fork tubes up here that's silver. I figured it looked way better blacked out. And then I installed these LED turn signal and running light combinations. They're so much brighter than the factory ones, and they're way more low profile. I think they look a lot cooler on this bike. So that's something I definitely recommend if you want to get this bike and modify it to make it your own. Turn signals are a great place to start. The other LED modification I did this bike was the headlight. It was a $20 headlight, and it made all the difference in the world. Now when I'm commuting to work at 5:30 in the morning, I can actually see where I'm going. So aside from aesthetic changes, really those are the major changes that I've made to this bike, and I'm really glad I did every single one of them. But by far, headlight and bags is where I'd start. If you were to pick up one of these bikes from the factory and want to know what are you going to do, I'd put bags on it so you have storage without a backpack, and I'd change that headlight so you can see safely at night. Now, some of the other questions that I have been asked about the Rebel as a whole is, does it have enough power? I'm 240 pounds and 6'1", and it has absolutely plenty of power for me. I have never found myself lacking acceleration or anything like that when it came to using this bike. So to answer that question, I would say yes, it has plenty of power. So that is not something that I would concern myself with if I were looking at this bike going, is this something that I potentially want to buy? Because I'm not going to get it because it doesn't have enough power to pull me around. Yeah, that's a bullshit excuse for this bike. It's got plenty of it. I'm just gonna go ahead and set that down real quick and adjust my helmet strap because it is trying to kill me. One of the problems with having boatloads of hair is that it gets in the way and gets sucked up into the strap, and then eventually every time you nod your head, pulling on your hair or choking yourself out, one of the two. It is not pleasant. All right. Now the question becomes, where do we want to go from here? So, power, it's got plenty. It's definitely not a slouch of a motorcycle. The gearing is a little weird, but Honda likes to tweak around with their shift points a lot. I don't necessarily agree with all the ones that they have on this bike, but they're the manufacturer, so I guess they know best. That being said, I would say that, the two bikes I ride the most, this and the Grom, have some of the weirdest gearing ratios on the planet. The Grom being a weird little 4-speed. Whee! And this being a 6-speed where, third gears starting at 20 miles an hour. So, it's an interesting mix of things. I'm really sad. I was hoping that this parking lot would be much more open than it was, but apparently they've been able to fill in these offices and get that all figured out. So probably not going to use it for a lot of filming or photo shoots. Where does this go? Does that go all the way around? Let's go look. stop signs on the road behind the Walmart. Yeah. I guess this is where all the Walmart employees would come to park. Interesting. Let's go on a little adventure here. Probably shouldn't be going this fast in a parking lot, but you know what? There's no one back here to stop me. Oh, this is a cool little spot. This would be a fun place to come screw around on the Groms. Not that I do any hooligan-related things on my Grom at all. No siree. Let's go see where this road goes. I've always seen it, but I've never taken it up. Oh, Albuquerque.